Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners. Today we're going to tie a blockhead popper. Here I have one already prepared, and what we have here is 4 pieces of sticky back foam. We start out by cutting them 1/2 inch, maybe like a 1/2 inch square, depending on what size hook you're going to put them on. This is going to be for bluegills, so I have it smaller. It's going to be a 1/2 inch, and you can see it's smaller as it goes down. I'm going to show you how I did that. Like I said, we're going to start out with about 1/2 inch of foam. I'm going to cut the green, the yellow, and I'm going to top it off with the orange so I can see it better on the water. Although green or yellow on top would be just as easy to see. So I'm just going to cut about 1/2 inch pieces. That will be our top. I'm going to use this piece as my gauge for the others. So we'll make this one a little bit smaller than the cut I already have in there. Doesn't matter if they're too big right now. And now we have our pieces. We're going to leave the tape on there. Going to peel the tape from the green one, and I'm going to place it on top of the yellow. Try to get them even. We're going to squeeze them together. If you'd like, you can use crazy glue in between, and sometimes you need to use crazy glue. I'm going to save this for the end. Now I'm going to take my ruler and measure out the 1/2 inch mark. So I need to take a slight cut off that. For this I'm going to use a razor blade. Cut right through. This you can use for something else, ants perhaps. And I'm going to just cut this in half. Now I'm going to take the paper from the yellow, and I'm going to place this on top of the green. And I'm going to take a small section of the orange and cut that. And I'm going to put that on top of that green. Just squeeze them all together. Going to take my razor blade, trim off that orange. Going to take the hook that I am going to use, and we'll measure that to the size we want. And that's going to be just short of the 1/2 inch. And that's going to be the bottom measurement. You don't have to be precise with this. Let's put a little mark there. I'm going to cut this. Cut that straight down. And I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to take our block and I'm going to cut slightly into the lower Now I'm going to take the razor and I'm going to cut the plow on there. I'm going to make a bigger cut here. You can see I took a much larger cut there. And that will be the plow. And you can play with the different angles on there. And here we have basically something to this of this effect. We have it smaller at the bottom. We have a good plow in there. We could actually take this off, and you want to actually get the stick, the glue off of there. And what does that pretty easily is by using a small rag and some rubbing alcohol or acetone, and that will take that off. Or you can just press it and rub that stick off there. It will eventually come off. And there, it's all off. And we know this is going to be the right size. Now we're going to take our thread. It doesn't matter what color thread. We're going to put a base of thread down. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of hackle feathers on there for our tails. We're going to take maybe a pair for each side. Make them maybe 2 times the length of the hook shank. Measure up to the same size. Make sure you have them splayed there nicely. And we're going to go ahead and wrap them in. We're going to come up the hook shank with them slightly, because the more material you have on the hook shank, the better the blockhead will hold. You don't want to pile it on there real heavy, but you do want to have something for the blockhead to hold to. You can take a final hackle and we can go ahead and tie this in and wrap a little bit of this hackle around the back area. It doesn't really matter how nicely, you can say, this goes on, because the block is going to push it all towards the rear. and you'll see that in a moment. We'll give that a few wraps right there. I'm going to tie that in. Go ahead and trim away that excess. And now I'm going to give this a whip finish. And cut that off. Now I'm going to take my bodkin needle, and I want to make a hole or a pilot through there, right in the second, right through the second one. We want to get that right through the middle. Just center that up and get that right through the second one. And that's where we're going to slide it on. We're going to take our crazy glue. I'm going to put a liberal amount of crazy glue on the shank. We take our block. Oh, you see that slid through. Going to slide that through. I want to push that back pretty far. And now we have two of them on because that came off. I'm going to put some crazy glue on the top and reattach my top section. Go ahead, there's a little piece I got to cut out there. Just make sure that that's level on there. Going to take a little bit of the crazy glue, put that on there. Take my top section, place that on, and just squeeze that into place. And here we have our block in place. Now I'm going to take my needle, my leg puller. It is a needle with a piece of tippet attached, has a loop on the end. Take this and we'll put this right through. I'm going to put it through around the middle section. We want that even. You can pull the needle through because you have a big piece of tippet there. Now I'm going to take rubber legs. I'm going to put them inside the loop. And then we can just pull those through. If you take the rubber legs and you pull them a little skinny, pull them to make them smaller, they'll go through a little easier. There we go. And you can see we have the legs through the two sides. And then you can even them out and trim them to length. I like to trim them to be almost the length of the tail. Pull them, but don't pull them tight. Don't stretch them when you pull them, because then you'll get shorter ones. And here we have a blockhead popper. This works really good for the bluegills. It'll work good on bass if you make a bigger version of it. You can go ahead and take your marker, put some marks on there however you would like. You could put eyes on there if you'd like. Put different materials for your tail. And a couple of the keys to making these, you have to make sure that you have space between the eye and your block so that you can get your tippet through. Have a nice plow built on it and not make it too fat across. You have to make it proportional. And I hope that you learned something from this video. I hope you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Leave comments, questions, suggestions, and most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.